Well, the Iranians have prepared themselves for this situation, and they've said that they will destroy the uh, electrical power plants, the energy infrastructure of countries across the region in retaliation. And I think it's clear as day what will happen. These countries will not be able to continue to exist. I mean, there are quite a few people in the Persian Gulf that have the ability to keep their homes, uh, the electricity in their homes, working through these uh, their own private uh, machinery, but ultimately it's that the regimes will fail. There's no possibility that the Emirates will last if they don't have electricity or desalination plants, if they don't have desalination plants in Qatar or electricity, it's just not sustainable. Everyone will have to leave. Again, they may have these mini generators that can work for a few wealthy families or part of the population for a few days, but that's not going to uh, be nearly adequate to sustain society. So people will have to leave. And then, more importantly, uh, when Iran targets the oil and gas facilities, that will be the end of the exports from this region for the years to come. And I believe that that will create a panic on the global markets because until now, the question has been when will the Strait of Hormuz be reopened? And when will the oil and natural gas or LNG and helium and fertilizers and so on get back onto the global markets? And how can the global markets be spared or the global economy be spared from a recession? But once this happens, then I think we're going to see a panic in the markets and collapse because there's no way that Trump or anyone else will be able to manipulate the markets anymore. People will be seeing scenes of burning infrastructure, and it will become clear to everyone that if the Strait of Hormuz is open tomorrow as a result of another MOU or another agreement between Iran and the United States, it won't really matter anymore. There will be nothing left to export. These countries will have collapsed and their facilities will have been badly damaged or destroyed. So, what the United States is threatening to do basically in the next couple of days alongside the Zionist regime, because at the end of the day, it's the Zionist regime that's behind it. It's not the United States. It's the Zionist lobby, the Israeli regime. We're seeing their propagandists in the United States pushing day and night for all out war. I was just on Piers Morgan, and they were advocating all out war against Iran. It's clear that the force behind the driving force behind this conflict is the Israeli regime. But if this, I think it's clear to the Americans that this will be catastrophic for the global economy and the U.S. economy. But it appears, I mean, if this happens, it's clear that the United States has accepted its own depression, accepted having an economic depression and economic ruin for the sake of the Zionist lobby. It's not going to end well for the Israeli regime because ultimately people across the world are going to recognize who has brought about this catastrophic situation, because an economic depression is going to affect you in Brazil. It's going to affect people in Japan. It's going to affect people in South Africa. It's going to affect people in Argentina, in Nigeria. No one is going to be spared. And everyone will know who brought this about. It was Trump and Netanyahu and the forces that push the United States, meaning Zionism and the Zionist regime, towards this economic cliff. So we'll have to see. I mean, last night in Iran, some people were awake at night and to see what will happen. I did get up for morning prayers, and nothing. Obviously, nothing happened. So I went back to sleep. But some of my friends were up till then, and they were waiting to see what would happen. But we'll have to wait and see what happens tonight. I mean, I would have thought that they would do this last night after the markets closed, because tonight and tomorrow night is would be when the markets begin to reopen in Asia. But nothing would surprise me anymore. Nothing surprises me. And it will be very difficult for the United States and the Israelis to destroy Iran's critical infrastructure, because Iran has a large number of power plants across the country. It will cause damage. It will cause electricity shortages. But it's much easier for Iran to do huge damage, because all of the, as you know, and as your viewers know, all of the assets of the regimes that are collaborating with the United States against Iran are right alongside the shores of the Persian Gulf. There are oil facilities, there are gas facilities, there are power plants, there are desalination plants. They're very easily accessible. And then, of course, this is without including the reality that Yemen has been provoked into war by the Saudis for some very foolish reason. It is said that the Americans pushed them in that direction, but the Saudis have provoked Yemen into waging war. And of course, the Yemeni people are now demanding an end to the barbaric siege. The irony now is, of course, that the Saudis are creating this coalition of countries who want to help Saudi Arabia preserve this barbaric siege. And most of these countries did participate, or many of them did participate, when the Saudis began the genocidal war against Yemen. They supported the Saudis from the very beginning, and they assisted in the starvation of the people of Yemen and the slaughter of the children of Yemen for years. Some of them, of course, later tilted away from Saudi Arabia after the Saudis besieged Qatar. Qatar and Turkey moved away, not for reasons of principle, but because of the conflict that they had, that Qatar had with the Saudis and the Emirates, not because of any feelings towards the people of Yemen. But this coalition is not going to succeed. What are they going to do? They can't stop Yemeni drones, and they can't stop Yemeni missiles, and they can't invade Yemen. So they don't have the capabilities of the United States, and of course, people are going to be asking each and every one of those coalition members, what did you do for Gaza? Why is there no coalition to support the people of Gaza? Why was there no coalition to support the people of Lebanon? Why is there no coalition to put pressure on the Israeli regime? It's only a coalition is only worth creating when it's an ally of the United States that is being punished for a war that it imposed on the people of Yemen, a genocidal war that it imposed upon the people of Yemen. I mean, these countries may be able to mobilize a segment of their societies to support renewing the genocide against Yemen, or renewing the Saudi war or strengthening the Saudis in their war against the Yemeni people. But a lot of people are going to become increasingly skeptical about those governments that participate. Now, we'll have to see if anyone actually does, because the Saudis have announced this coalition, but it's not going to work. All it's going to do is it's going to humiliate anyone who is seen assisting the Saudis against the besieged people of Yemen. But in any case, they've awoken Yemen, and now the strikes on Iraq have created outrage across Iraq. and the Iraqi resistance says they're going to punish the Saudis after Arba'in, after the 40th day, after the ceremonies marking the 40th day after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, the grandson of the Holy Prophet. So it's strange how Saudi Arabia brought this upon itself. First, bombing an international airport in Yemen, and then bombing Iraq, even though Yemen said very openly that we fired drones and missiles at Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia said, no, it wasn't Yemen. It was the resistance in Iraq. And the belief here in Iran is that the Saudis are blaming Iraq because they're afraid to confront Yemen. So they're like seeking some other entity to strike. And of course, most of the strikes were carried out by the Americans. But what they've succeeded in doing is angering the Iraqi people, especially near Arba'in, where the people in Iraq are focused on commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, his struggle against the despot of his era in support of the press, and it makes people see the parallels. So this is not going to end well. If the United States attacks Iran and escalates, this will be catastrophic for the world economy. And I think many people just simply don't know what's about to hit if this happens.